Hello and welcome. I'm Bivaljo, and this is a Workers and Resources Soviet Republic test for the best construction office. Stay tuned. Hey there! Someone asked me to make a tutorial about what the best setup for a construction office is. I believe there's not one perfect setup, there's just very different situational setups, but I don't actually know the perfect answer to give, so I wanted to make a quick test. The test is 3 perfectly identical cities, just copy tool. Use that. Everything is set up, all the citizens are happy, they have everything they need. And then 4 construction offices. Is 4 the best number? I don't know. I had to plan this out a little bit, and in the end, this felt like the right number of vehicles to come up with. You can do more or less when you do your test. But what I wanted to do was make sure that we have the same number of vehicles available for each setup. Maybe quick talk about the setup. Here is the bus stop. It's the same everywhere. Here are the construction offices. They will go to the cargo station, to the loading station, to a cement station, and to the asphalt station. And then the construction itself will happen up here. The construction consists of several roads. This is a trolleybus road, then there's a bus stop here, there are several footpaths. Here is a large vehicle production line building. Here's a storage, here's a factory connection. And then several smaller buildings like a power transformer, power lines. There's a power line here. The copy tool is not perfect all the time, but there's different sizes of paths to build. There are a couple different paths that you can take. There are the footpaths here. There's a super small piece of path here. There is a bauxite processing plant, just something in the middle. And this is just copied to the other 2 cities as well, so everything is the same. And I will set up the actual construction office assignments. Maybe explain a little bit. This is supposed to be the general construction office where every construction office does everything. And also has equipment for everything. So let's tell them where to go first. Can pick up stuff here, can pick up stuff here, 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 and here. We'll do that for all 3 of these. And then I'll tell you about the next one. Great. The next one is dedicated. Dedicated, I take as have vehicles dedicated to only the resources that they're supposed to bring. For example, this is all dumpers. The dumpers will only pick up asphalt, not concrete, but I don't have to worry about it, asphalt and gravel. And that's all they're going to do. This one down here is supposed to be dedicated to flatbeds and covered hulls, and they will pick up from here. Then the next one is this guy. This guy is supposed to be dedicated to transporting vehicles that are required for construction. And I set it up so that I gave this construction office 3 flatbeds, because that's the number of flatbeds we have available across all construction offices. That's the same number that's here. So that's what they do. The last one is set up for concrete, because all the concrete mixers are here, plus all the buses. And you may notice that I have mostly small microbuses with 7 people and 2 large buses. I know that if you have too many buses running at the same time, they will slow your construction down, especially on roads and especially on smaller roads. Therefore, I just picked 4 small and 2 large buses for the whole setup. That's as many buses as I will allow. You can choose to have more buses if you want to run it that way. I can just tell you it's not necessary. Usually 10 to 15 people is the right amount for almost any construction project, because you still have to deliver construction material, and that alone takes time. So just sticking to less buses that just constantly bring people in usually means you have a good chance of completing the project like in a good flow. And that's what I went with here. Down here is the specialized construction office, and this one is specialized by construction type. And that's what I'm going to do different here. Can search all of it, and this one is mostly flatbeds and transport and cranes. So this one will do anything but roads, because that's how you would set it up. I paused there because this construction, this unfinished road, has some electrical components that could use a crane. But the way it's set up, it wouldn't work, and the way you would set it up in the real world, that's really how it happens. So I'm not going to give this one the roads assignment. Buildings, conveyors, we don't have conveyors this time. Factory connections, it's not what this one's going to do, so this one's only going to do these 3. Then up here, it's going to be my road construction office. And road, all it needs is asphalt and gravel, generally. In this case, obviously there's this guy, and I will show you how I hope that will be taken care of. And I realize I have one mistake in here. The mistake is that if you specialize construction this way, that sometimes you will not get all the resources that you need. In this case, what I was talking about, the electrical components come only in a covered hole, but a covered hole is generally not part of a road construction office because it will take up space. You need all the dumpers that you can get. So one's only gonna do roads and footpaths, and that should be fine. This one will do kind of everything in between. It has the buses and it has concrete. So it's assigned the concrete and the passengers. And then it has a couple excavators here. This one is not very different for specialized and dedicated machines or places because it kind of has to do everything. You need to get the buses from somewhere. Then this one is supposed to be a general construction office that will just get everything. You do want to keep a general construction office around, otherwise you will not get it done. This is really the short of it. So that's my setup. I will talk a little more, but let's get these guys rolling. Everyone's set up, so ready, set, go. What I am trying to do is really just figure out if you should specialize your construction or if you should just keep a general one. Well, the one over here is kind of specialized, but also kind of general because it gives your construction office a chance to do many different construction types. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you sit through the whole setup that we have here. I will start it now. We may see a quick time lapse. And then once the last piece of construction is done, I will stop the time and see where everyone else is. So I will see you in a little bit. Quick to interject here, I don't know if you saw that, but this was a bulldozer doing the road on the dedicated ones. Not sure why the algorithm chose that, but the bulldozer did a lot faster work of the road than the excavators are doing. So keep that in mind. Currently, we are seeing a very common problem. You see these buses arriving? Whenever a bus arrives, construction stops completely. You see these 2 asphalt trucks trying to bring asphalt here? Every time a bus comes here, these asphalt trucks like jump back to the front. Now that there's no bus, it continues working. Bus arrives and it stops working again. Bus is gone, they will work. Bus drops off, they will not work. Doesn't matter how much is in there. You can call this a bug. It's totally fine. It's just something you should keep in mind. This happens a lot. So if you have too many buses, this will just continuously happen and happen and happen. What you can do is reduce the number of workers here. So there are no construction offices trying to send buses to fill up the worker allocation that's possible. Both general and dedicated have a big tower crane that arrived at the scene. Just the dedicated one has more people there right now. That's a little surprising. Let's check. These are... I'm assuming... I want these just to be equal so they can actually pick up whenever they want to. And they are. And that is great. Dedicated construction is the first one done. Closely followed by general construction. Specialized construction is a little behind. Not really sure exactly why that is, but it could be because our bus setup was a little squandered over here. You can blame it on that if you want, but again, I think we will see the different strengths for the different setups in a little bit. In this section, we're going to have a mix of asphalt road with lights, and then some gravel road coming off to the left. So I think we will see a little bit of a difference, but it looks like the dedicated office is already a little further ahead. Quick update on the building. General is the furthest ahead, and it's pretty much in the middle on all the road pieces. Specialized actually caught up, and their building is moving along a lot faster than the dedicated version, so maybe that's a tell. However, the rest of the Specialized is still lagging behind. The rest of dedicated is about even with General. General has a couple more things done, but is also working on a couple things that dedicated has done. So they're relatively even. So far, honestly, most of these I would call a pretty even race. It's hard to say who is winning, but we still have a lot of time to go, so I'll be back in a little bit. Here is where we are. General finished the bauxite mine and started construction on the vehicle production line. I did set all the workers outside that can walk here to 37. But dedicated started the production line, and look at this line of vehicles that are ready to dump off their everything. It looks like it's a lot more efficient just doing it this way. Everything will get here and starting to work, where General is barely making progress. However, this is a long line of vehicles, so that will slow you down for a little bit unless you can bring workers here. I'm not using the bus stops. I turn them off everywhere. Over here, Specialized is still just trying. I feel like at this point it's definitely lagging behind a little bit. Maybe it can catch up, but I'm not so sure. Little development. The Specialized construction got done with the bauxite mine. And I will set all of these to 0 because we don't need anyone to work. And everything else is looking fine. The factory connection is actually happening, but dedicated is still not done with the bauxite mine. That is kind of surprising. I thought by now they should be good. Let's turn all these off. And the general construction office looked like it had the same idea now about the large construction setup, where it just sends all the materials right away. And it's slowly maybe catching up just a little bit. Specialized still barely getting started, so I'm not seeing that happening anytime soon. Currently, Specialized is still way behind, but Dedicated is actually almost 350 workdays ahead. And they are currently starting on the next building. The kindergarten is next for them, where nobody else is there yet. So they have a little advantage above everyone else. These are only completing a few of the... Oh, it looks like... No, that's just a footpath. A few of the footpaths are done at the general side, and they're getting done on the specialized side. But right now, the dedicated construction offices are a little ahead. To remind you, that was just a setup where you have the vehicles that are only doing one type of resource. Just a quick update, General and Dedicated have completed that phase of the vehicle construction line and are now about 1,000 days ahead of the specialized side. And yeah, they started bringing in the resources, and both are at this point pretty even. Nothing's happening, but no mechanisms are on site at this point. So that will be interesting. General has caught up on the roads and has completed all the footpaths that it had, so that is great. Over here, the kindergarten is being pretty much completed almost, but not the footpaths are done yet. Not all the footpaths are done at this point. Nobody looks like they have started on the little power unit here, the electric substation, but that's okay. That should be done pretty fast once they get there. But General has started construction on the University Hall residences because there's no parking spot here, so they actually can get there through the footpath. So that is an interesting development, because over here, they can't even get to the University Halls yet. So that's just maybe a luck in the algorithm to assign the workers. Checking back in, and it looks like the General Construction Office is a little better at bringing in even amount of resources that are required, because at this point it's over 1,000 workdays ahead. At some point it was 300 or 400 workdays behind, so that's kind of impressive. So General Construction Office just completed the vehicle assembly line. Let's turn off all the workers because we don't want them, but this is kind of impressive. General Construction is now almost 1,500 workdays ahead of the dedicated one, and more than 2,600, maybe 2,700 workdays ahead of the specialized one. I find it a little interesting. Even though the kindergarten is done over here, the kindergarten is almost done on this side, so I'm not worried about that. It also has the substation done, and it has the first cables done. The low voltage lines over here are already done. They're not done, as far as I can tell, anywhere else. So the general construction office is doing something pretty well. Now look at this. I am kind of surprised by this, but then again, not quite. Rule of large numbers. Specialized is still far behind. No denying that. They haven't started really working on this with mechanisms yet, so they are pretty far behind. But Dedicated is catching up. They were over 1,000 workdays behind 1,200 at some point. This road, they're almost on the same level. They're almost done with that at the same time, and then they can start the next road. So they are really close. The general construction office just got done with this piece of road. And this piece of road also was just completed, where it was already done here for a while. So this construction, this space, already has all the construction materials on it that it needs, where the general construction is still needing some more. So things are looking up for the dedicated construction office. I gotta say, I am a little surprised. I thought it was behind, but somehow it made up everything that it was missing. Okay, this has been a pretty long night, and I think we can start to call it. Specialized, it's not doing so hot, it's not doing terrible, but it's just behind. There's a lot of vehicles here that are not doing anything. It may be a problem with my setup, it may be a problem with my vehicles that I picked, it may be a problem with the amount of vehicles. You may know me, you may not know, but I think on this test, Specialized just didn't do so well. Then we have over here Dedicated, and Dedicated is already starting on the last building and everything else is done. Where General is now starting on the last building and the last piece of road is not done yet, but it's pretty close behind. What do I take away from this, and what should you take away from this? Taking away that if you build a lot of everything, if there's no clear construction that you are doing a lot of, general construction works just fine. It may be a little slower than some other things, but a little better than some other setups. It's just fine. Dedicated construction can also work and maybe a little more efficient when you need large chunks of stuff at the same time. So if you need a lot of gravel, if you need a lot of asphalt, if you need a lot of just steel or mechanical components, just anything where you need a lot of, and you have a construction office that has a lot of those transport possibilities that will help you. You have the same thing if you have all general construction offices that all work on the same thing, because then you essentially combine the transport power of every single construction office. None of this matters if you have a lot of construction sites. If this list of assigned constructions is longer than just a handful, and I think you can fit 25 in here easily, if it's longer than that, your construction office will just make stupid decisions of sending your vehicles to wherever. So, to me, the magic is not what you put in your construction office. The magic is the order of which you complete your constructions. And there is usually a better order, and usually a worse order. The worst thing you can do, make a road like this, and add junctions everywhere. If you do this, one, you don't allow for vehicles to build the short pieces of these roads. And two, you start this construction, little piece. Once it's done, then construction gets assigned to the next thing. Then your vehicles start moving. Then you get the materials. Then you start working on it. And so on. It's just like a lot of things at once. If you just build one long road, let this complete, which should complete pretty fast because it's only one construction, and then add the other junctions to it, that is great. Also, don't do this. Don't put a junction here, and a junction here, and a junction here, and a junction here, because that's the same problem as here. Keep your junctions together if you can. That's the road piece. And that's really how all your construction will start. Once you understand that you should build the large road first, and then build all your junctions off of that road, and then build all your buildings that you want to build onto that road with more junctions, like there's an order. If you do the first piece of the road quickly, for example here, if I would have built the road from here all the way out to here First, my construction office could have worked on everything at the same time. It wouldn't have had to wait for anything else. So if you're patient enough and if you want to plan ahead, you can do that. Would any of these offices, construction offices, work better if you do it in a more controlled manner of building whatever you need? Yeah, probably. I think the dedicated one would have a little more advantage than it already had, and at this point it had a few hundred work days of advantage, which is honestly not a lot. But yes, I think that if you have a lot of dumpers, you will get your roads done a lot faster if they all come from one office, because they just all get sent out at the same time, and then they're just there. General offices, however, I think can keep up with that. There may be a small difference, but general offices can do it. Are specialized offices worthless? Absolutely not. If you know that you're only going to build a lot of roads in the near future, a specialized road office is amazing because you don't have to worry about anything, you don't have to assign anything, you can just let the road office do all the roads that you need. Just keep in mind, do the long road first and then do all the side roads next. Then you will be really fast with just a specialized road office like this one. You don't need a lot of dump trucks for that either, because especially if you do asphalt, every time a new truck arrives, they switch trucks and it's really annoying. So you want just one truck waiting is your ideal setup. So you're never empty, but you never have a lot of trucks that just want to get into the construction zone. So keep that in mind too. The last thing I will tell you, I showed you earlier, when you have a lot of buses arriving to a construction site, especially the asphalt roads, construction stops and stops and stops and stops and stops and never goes anywhere, even though you have all the materials and you have a lot of workers there and everything is great. What I will recommend is give your construction offices 1 to 2 buses, keep it small. If you know that you're going to do a lot of large constructions like this vehicle factory, here it's okay if you have a couple buses that can actually transport a lot of people to your construction, but then you can also consider using this bus stop that I put out here already and just have a bus already going there. Because if you bring workers here, they will also go to the construction sites. That will get you sped up too. What else? Oh yeah, the bus thing. That's why the general construction offices also work pretty well, because they only have 1 or 2 buses that interrupt the construction, and that will help you get stuff done faster. It's just not interrupted as much. So, to the question that I was asked initially, how should you set up your construction office? Find your own preference. The biggest thing is plan ahead for your construction, do big chunks of construction first, and then go smaller, smaller, smaller. Sometimes it helps if you assign them manually. Personally, I like to set up construction in this area, then click my big map button. If you see my series, that's probably what happens. Go somewhere completely different, set up something completely new here, and after a while I want to come back to where my construction was and I want everything done. Meaning I don't want to set up everything. Sometimes you have to set up a couple things. Sometimes if you're okay with just waiting, just make everything a general office and they will get it done. Just fine. Again, there are situations where specialized offices will be fine, like just road construction, just footpath constructions. But personally, I found that besides the road and the footpaths, there's not much need to have specialized offices. I know some of you will disagree, and that's totally fine. You have your experiences, and you are probably not wrong. I honestly don't know who's right. Get your stuff done. I think if you plan it correctly, if you plan like an order to your construction, that is the best thing you can do to your construction office. Everything else is secondary, and as you saw with the 3 different setups for the construction offices that I had, it didn't make a huge difference what I had in the construction offices or what I assigned them to for where they get their resources from, or what vehicles were going, or what buildings they were, or what construction site they were allowed to go to. It didn't make a big difference, as in it all took about the same amount of time if you mix your constructions. Again, if you only have 1 construction, that's different, but it's not really a test that I wanted to do. Again, if you like what you saw, like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know what I did well. Let me know what I did wrong, what you would do different, or what you want to see next, maybe. If you like this, I will try to do something similar or different or more of this. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to do more of this. And if not, that's fine. I'll try to do more tutorial type things that are less test oriented like this one. But I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. and I will hopefully see you again next time. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye!